So thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. And as Timofey mentioned, I'm the CEO at Beterium. And at Beterium, we created a social betting platform, which basically means that players can bet not against the bookmaker, but against each other. Now, what does this have to do with the topic that I'm going to present today? We took gamification as a very interesting and very important element when building this application. And today I want to explain a little bit why and how gamification can actually help in the business of betting. So let's start from a basic principle. We're not a company that cares about hype or the token, short-term growth or anything like this. We started by making a project that really cared about solid business fundamentals. So to be on the same page, what is very important for us, and I think it should be important for any company, is eventually to create operational profitability. And in sum, what creates profitability? It's very simple at the end. The lifetime value that the customer generates should be higher by a certain multiple than the acquisition cost for the customer. Now, there are many things that influence lifetime value and acquisition cost. For example, the target audience that you have, the monetization ability of your application, and many other factors. But actually, today I'm going to focus a little bit more on this customer acquisition cost and on how to retain the customer. Because at the end, it actually is much more important how you retain your customers and how you engage them than the customers that you acquire. And here is why. Now, there are many elements of research on this, but basically, in principle, it's normally 5 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain a new one. And this is a mistake, really, that companies do very often, especially when they're in a booming period. We have seen it in mobile. Here is a former colleague of mine from telco. When the market was growing, everybody was talking about acquiring players, and that's it. We have seen it in mobile gaming, in every industry. When it's growing, you only care about acquiring new customers. But at some point, the market consolidates, and then you have to keep the customers, not keep acquiring. Now, betting is one business where still the focus is very much on acquiring customers rather than retaining them. And this is quite a complication because actually, statistics say that it's 14 times easier to sell to your own customer than it is to sell to a new one. And even more important, a small change in retention, the users that you actually keep, can decrease your cost immensely. And decreasing your cost immensely increases your profitability immensely. This has actually been my mantra in every single job that I have done. Not spending a ton of time trying to get that new customer, but you increase retention a little bit, 2%, better cost by 10%, better profitability by 25 to 50%. That's why it's important. Now, what does this have to do with gamification? So first of all, what is gamification? There's a lot of talk about it, and actually even betting companies are saying, we really need it and all that. But simply, gamification is the use of game design thinking and game design elements to provide something in a context which is typically not gaming. Now, when you're talking about betting, everybody refers it to gaming, which was really confusing for me at the beginning. But betting and gaming are really two different things. And the idea is that you take elements, especially from mobile gaming, and you bring them into a new business. So I'm talking about such simple things as having leaderboards for competition, avatars, badges, achievements. These are things that have been done over and over again by the free-to-play mobile game developers, but have not really appeared in betting. Yeah, online casinos are doing a bit of that, but normally it is, like free spin, you get 1 or 2 free spins, not that much. And I think this presents a huge opportunity to improve the betting experience. But wait a second. I've been told by an investor the other day that our platform, because it's using gamification and social and this, is not really interesting since betting is totally fine as it is. That's what he said. And he said that, at the end, the only thing that is important in betting is just having best odds. Yeah. So when I started to work on the game design for our platform, I actually don't come from betting. So I started to take a look at the betting sites. And this is what you see. In hundreds of sites, it's just one big table that look like stock trading. Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. They're excellent portals with 7 promotions at the same time. And when everything looks the same like this, then the only way that you really have to keep customers and acquire them is to compete on price and the importance of your marketing budgets. So I thought maybe there is some other way. So betting is not fine, although they're making much more money than us. So at the end, maybe they are fine. Now, what is really important is this. A satisfied customer is not necessarily a loyal customer. Yeah, you can have customers that are satisfied because they're getting a great deal in one day, but they leave the day after simply because you removed that deal. And this is often what happens also in betting. You go to a site, you get a nice bonus, you play a couple of times, and then you basically leave. And this is very expensive as a proposition for a betting site. So a better way, I think, to define loyalty is actually by measuring how engaged the customer is. And by engaging, I mean this, the engagement basically represents how willing a customer is to spend his time, his discretionary time, on your company, for mutual benefit. And the big difference with measuring loyalty is that loyalty is very hard to measure, yeah? And loyalty is an emotional state. One day you have a great experience with a company and you feel great and you feel loyal. The next day, bad experience and you leave. Engagement is actually a behavior. So you can measure it. You can see how many times the player comes to the site, runs certain activities, invites friends and all that. So it's a much more quantifiable metric than loyalty. Now, I talked a little bit before and I said that gamification is about, am I covering the slide? No, too short. Okay. So I said before that gamification is about points and rewards and badges and all these. And I don't know if you actually play mobile games. You will know, if you do, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But these are not really just points and rewards and badges. They're designed to tap into the psyche of us as human beings. Yeah, not everybody is the same. People are looking for different things. But typically, we are looking for social recognition. We are looking for status. Yeah, we are looking for competition to show that we are actually good at something. We're looking for feedback. People that tell us, yes, you did a great job and all that. And all the various elements in gamification are designed exactly to tap on that. So they can be extremely powerful. And I will get to that a little bit later with some examples. Now, we talked about gamification, and the idea is not just to put games out there, just for giving some fun to the players. The idea is really to drive motivation. Yeah, to drive motivation to do something that you want the player to do. And in, let's say, psychological terms, basically, what gamification is designed to do is to increase 2 types of motivation. Yeah? It's designed to increase extrinsic motivation, which means I get some reward for doing something. But eventually, this extrinsic motivation becomes intrinsic motivation, which means that I'm actually doing this because I'm gaining something personally from it. And once you are able to activate this intrinsic motivation, then the customer is loyal and won't switch just because of a little lower price. So here are some examples of what I actually mean. These are actual screenshots from our Telegram community. We have 30,000 members and a fantastic manager for this that really works 24/7. And we do everything possible to care about the players, keep them engaged and all that. Now, because we have a free-to-play betting platform where they go and play, these guys are constantly basically discussing, I won on this bet, I am number 20 on the leaderboards, etc., etc. And they're going there, this is an example on the right. The guy shared that he won a bet, that's it. And you see all these other guys, replying, great, fantastic, and all this. So this person feels like he has a home, in this community. If he went to another site, that home will be gone. And when you're able to establish this, you can expect much higher retention, because he's not just betting to get something back. He's basically part of a community that knows him and accepts him. This is also, I say here that, gamification can make you come back to the site. Now, we have the chest here from Supercell, because Supercell is fantastic really do you know Supercell, by the way? Yes, okay, Scandinavian company bought by Tencent for various billions of dollars, and they really make the best games in the world. They just make a few of them, but they're really masters at utilizing gamification to improve retention and improve engagement. And they came up with this idea. In mobile gaming, everybody was giving you rewards basically directly on the site. You went there, you got a daily login, bonus, you can click and you can get it, which is very similar to what happens actually in betting when you get a bonus, or in online casinos when you go there and you spin the wheel and you can get some bonus. The problem with that, as soon as you get the bonus, basically the experience with the site is finished. There is no real reason why you should go back the day after. So these guys came back with the idea of having this chest that would be of different levels, and you would click on them, and then this chest would have a timer. They would open in 6 hours, they would open in 24 hours. And the size and design of the chest would give you some indication of what you could expect. This is an unbelievably powerful retention mechanism, especially because it introduces an element of surprise, and it taps into the psychology of intermittent reward, which was actually experimented on pigeons, I keep saying this, about 50 years ago. But it actually works. You come back and you have this surprise, that you get something great. And the same thing you can actually do in betting. If you create a surprise when you come back, a reward and all that, the player will come back. And if you bring the player back to the site often and often and often, you'll create a habit. And once you create a habit, that habit is hard to break. Another thing that betting can do is this. I was looking at, for the business case, at acquisition cost in betting, and I got a little bit worried because I thought, okay, we're going to need a few millions here. They're extremely high. Betting companies pay hundreds of dollars to bring a customer to make a deposit. Yeah, it's okay. To bring a customer to make a deposit. Now, if you can lower this acquisition cost, we were talking before about the balance between lifetime value and customer acquisition cost, you can increase profitability massively. And how can you lower this the best? By having natural virality, by bringing organic users that you're actually not paying for. On top of this, these users are likely not to be mercenaries, so they're likely to stay longer if you get into the right audience. Yeah, and as human beings, we like to share. So what we implement in our platform, but it's really something that is used quite often, is that you can share your victory. So you inform everybody, that you get all this nice feedback, and you basically get new users out of that. Now, what is extremely important is this. Betting sites really look all the same. And if you're used to bet on one site, there is really no difficulty for you to come and move and go to a different site. The learning curve is almost not there. It works in the same way. You have odds and all that, and you can easily switch to a competitor. The best way to really make it difficult for players to go to a competitor is not by having a best price. This is very easy to copy. It's by increasing switching costs. So when you actually move from one operator to another one, you lose something, yeah? Or it's very expensive for you to do it. And I don't mean financially expensive, but I mean you lose something that was very important to you, and you don't have it anymore when you go somewhere else. And in terms of gamification, it can be even your avatar. Yeah, you have an image that you're unlocking after you're a certain rank, and it defines that you are top better with high status and all this. And Napoleon used to say that soldiers will die for a piece of ribbon, yeah, for a medal. But it is actually like that. To put it in elements, out of betting, TripAdvisor or Amazon, if you put a lot of reviews and all that, you'll get this little stamp that says you're a top reviewer. And if people then went to another site, they would lose this. And this would take away completely their status. What is also quite important is that at the end, 68% of customers basically stay, it's an average, because they feel that the company cares for them. And to care for a customer, you need to know them. I'm a big believer in targeted marketing and using data basically to give a personalized experience to your customer. Not offer him every single bet possible, but the right ones for them. And with gamification, you can actually appeal to different types of customers, different types of players, and give them what is motivating for them. For example, you have certain players, they're called achievers, that do everything possible and literally spend thousands of dollars in free-to-play games to be at the top of the leaderboards. They consider it extremely important to get all their achievements and rewards there. You have other people that are socializers. These guys just want to feel part of a community. They join alliances, they share their results, they get feedback from the players. You have players that are explorers. For them, it's very important to provide a narrative, to show them some program, something they can discover. Once you appeal to these players, then you create a very strong bond, a very strong emotional bond with your brand. And furthermore, you have to follow them within their life cycle within the platform. You cannot just get to a betting site and give the same experience to everybody. And with gamification, you can do exactly that. Now, using these games and getting data from that also gives you much more data that you can use to improve the target experience. Of course, betting companies and online casinos and all that are already using a lot of data from their CRM system, to try and provide a personalized experience. But once you know what that player likes to do in your games, if he likes to share, if he likes to get achievements and all that, you add a lot of data points that properly used can really help you to provide a very personalized experience. Right, and this is also very important and something that cost me a lot of money when I play games. The very good companies don't create a service that is for you to love. Because when you love a service all the time, you actually don't spend the maximum amount of money in this. The very good gaming companies know that they need to keep a balance between loving and hating the game. At some point, the experience gets so frustrating that you almost want to leave, and that's when they make it nice for you. That's when they make it nice for you, you get some satisfaction, you're very proud of that, and you continue. But if you start to love it too much, it becomes boring, it's too easy, and that's when they give you a challenge. And when you create games that keeps this love-hate relationship in balance, that's when the player stays very long, and that's when the player pays the most money. And we come back to this element of lifetime value. That's basically ARPU, average revenue per user, per every month, for how many months it stays. Because this helps you to increase lifetime value quite a lot. Now, I come to the basically end point of this and to my feedback to this investor, that once you have all these elements in place, and much more, these I just gave you some elements. And as a player, I feel like I have a home, it's full of friends, they give me fun, I enjoy it and all that. What do I care if the other betting operator is offering 1% better margin? I would lose all that if I went there. And this is not an invention of gamification. Yeah? When Amazon was founded, Jeff Bezos didn't say, I want to sell cheap books. Yeah, he said from the start, and that's amazing, yeah, really the kind of vision that he had, I want to make the company with the best customer service in the world. And he has stuck to that for over 20 years. And this is why Amazon enjoys the highest margin in the e-tailer business. You're not going there for the price. You're going there for the trust, and you're going there because you know that Amazon cares about you. Not so much about their employees, but that's a different story. Yeah, so to come to the last, basically, slide for this, this is a model that was created at Harvard Business School, and sorry, I need some water. And it's about the different type of customers that you have and how engaged and loyal they are. And this is what I was mentioning before, that you can have customers that are very loyal, but not necessarily, or even very satisfied, but not necessarily going to purchase again. Yeah, so it's the example in the US, they have, for example, this Black Friday, yeah, and you get really great sales. These customers jump in, they buy a lot of stuff, but they're basically mercenaries, so they're not going to come back to their brand the day after. Yeah, they're just taking advantage of that. Same when you have hostages, yeah, from telco, yeah, we put them in a contract of 24 months, you know, they're not really satisfied, but they can't really leave. Ideally, you really want to move all your customers, or most of them, to the loyalists, the ones that really care, and especially to these apostles, these ambassadors. That's actually what we've been trying to do with our community as well, and we have 22 national fan clubs. So these guys actually print their own T-shirt, and they have our logo and all that, because they really believe that we care for, well, we do care for them, but they really believe in what we are doing, and they promote us everywhere. So with this, without marketing money, we have actually been able to bring more than 15,000 players to play on our platform. Now, what is also very important, and this is really the last slide on this, is don't forget to keep it simple. Sometimes, you know, companies want to put all this together and they just offer you too much. And then the customer gets overwhelmed. Yeah, so this is why the best games introduce normally these games in time. You get one, and then you continue in progress, and you get a few more. Yeah, but I really believe that, apparently totally gaming as well, that the people that will master these gamification elements will be able to create a whole new experience and to enjoy really strong profitability and retention. It's not for everybody, by the way. The professional bettors will never care. Yeah, these are traders. They go there, you know, they choose the best odds and all that. But there is a huge market of casual and enthusiast bettors that can really be tapped into, and these guys care, especially in eSports. An estimated 600 million players will actually be interested in eSports by 2020. And these guys like to play. And if you bring something that is closer to these games, that's when you will get the best out of them. So here is just some, quick examples, quick examples of what we did in our platform. First of all, we didn't want to completely reinvent the wheel. We wanted to make it really simple for people to bet, but still, if you're a bettor, to recognize basically, how a betting site looks like. So what we did is we just cleaned it up, and we used the gaming elements like logos of the teams and these VS and all that. And then we brought leaderboards, we bought chat, we bought sharing, we brought avatars, and of course there is still a lot of work to do. Yeah, we're not done. This is really a beta, but so far the feedback has been really encouraging. We've actually been asked 3 times by betting operator if they can white label our solution, and we have to say no because it's just a beta and we don't have a license yet. But it means that really I think it's resonating, and the retention rates that we've been having, I am really impressed. On day one, we have between 85% and 99% retention in basically a free-to-play game. And we get to day 30 at about 40%. Now, paying customers normally give you higher rates than this. So it means the product and the service to that audience resonates. We've actually launched 4 iterations of this since last year. And without any marketing money, basically we've been able to get hundreds of thousands of bets into our platform. And you can really see that even when we have no prizes and no contests and we're giving really small prizes, people stay because they like to bet and they like to discuss it in the community. And this is what I was telling you about our community is really quite big, and I think we really created it mostly with gamification. And what is interesting for me is that I was looking at the numbers of the, let's call them real betting operators, not in blockchain and all that. And apart from Petty Power, these numbers are actually higher than all of them. So these companies are fantastic and really strong, and they know the business inside out, but they are not great at creating an emotional connection with their players. And when you don't do that, then you have to compete on transactional elements. We listen really to our community. We're building the platform with them. And they asked us to bring eSports. And again, we brought eSports, but in a way that would look very much like a game. So you can see the live Twitch streaming, you can follow it in real time. And this is a preparation as well for live betting in the future, to keep people engaged and give them a possibility to bet in real time. And now we're going to launch in 1 week another game. We don't know how this is going to perform, but again, we're taking a very popular viral game. It's called Agario. We recoded it. I think it looks better than the original. And we will give the possibility of players to basically pay some tokens to get in, and eat other players and basically win more and more tokens. And we brought some unique twist and gamification in there, and we hope that they're going to really appreciate it. So this is it for my presentation. Do we have like 2-3 minutes maybe for questions? Okay, so thank you very much for now. Do you have any questions? Thanks.
Okay, so your target audience.
Yeah.
And how do you see your company compared to the... and how do you see yourself compared to the bigger companies like Paddy Power? Yeah, they currently changed their loyalty scheme, like they introduced this loyalties that live for rewards or something like this. So first of all, who is your target audience, and how do you see compared to the Paddy Power in 3 or 5 years? Thanks.
Okay, first of all, when you get into a business, you don't have a first mover advantage, you really shouldn't go and compete against the giants. Even if you have a better product, you really cannot do that. That's also why we designed in a different way. Paddy Power and many of the betting companies are going for expert bettors. Yeah, really strong enthusiasts and all that. Great ARP and all this. We made it more game-like to go to casual and enthusiast bettors. These are also people that maybe have never bet before. Yeah, because they were intimidated by the complexity of the existing solutions or trust issues or whatever it is that kept them away. So it's an experiment. Yeah, it's hard to say how much monetization will come from that, but we want to start with this segment that has been a bit ignored by these big betting operators. And how do we see against those companies? We cannot compete one-to-one. But one thing that for us is very important is this. If we're going to the US, we can actually use our free-to-play betting platform to create big bases in states where sports betting is not legalized yet. And if you're able to create big bases there, you can monetize them with targeted marketing, or you can sell them to Paddy Power. So our, big ambition is to be able to do what the fantasy sports operators did, and we're able to sell the bases to Paddy Power actually for a ridiculous amount of money, even though they were losing money every year, these companies.
So you're targeting casual players, right? So did you solve the onboarding problems for the the most crypto projects struggle with?
Sorry, I didn't...
I'm talking about the onboarding process. So, onboarding process.
Onboarding process.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, have you solved this?
Well, first of all, we kept it really intuitive. So it's really, I really believe that you never should read rules or anything to be able to start and bet. And if by onboarding you mean the first-time user experience, right?
I'm talking more about the crypto part of it.
At the moment, we don't yet use crypto in this platform for a very simple reason. We actually have it working already, but if you do that, you need a betting license. And I know this is completely ignored by most companies in the business, but we actually want to do this the right way. So we are going to apply to a Malta betting license, and at that point, we will be able to use our token into the platform. Now, I showed you before this skill-based gaming in which you go and eat other players and all that. One of the reasons why we're launching it is because being skill-based, and we're not going to make money, it's really a demo just for the players, then we don't need the license. And this is the first time that we're going to be using the token. It's very important you keep this very transparent. People should not know what is happening in the background. So if you want a reference from me, or what a company that I think does it very well is Edgeless. You go to Edgeless, it's very user-friendly, and you don't really know what is happening in the background. And this is what we're going to use in terms of onboarding.